I'm super enthusiastic to drive to Las Vegas tomorrow to participate in one of the world's largest Bitcoin conferences that is sponsored by Bitcoin Magazine. The founder of Bitcoin Magazine, David Bailey, is a guy I follow a lot on Twitter and admire his passion for spreading Bitcoin mass adoption and becoming a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, and it's really changed my life, and it's super important for me to try and share this story of Bitcoin and Satoshi Nakamoto and many of the leaders who I have studied. And I want to share what I'll be learning at the Bitcoin conference while I'm in Las Vegas. So I'll be making videos while I am there, but you're probably going to see this later. I just want you to understand the journey and why this whole movement of Bitcoin and Satoshi Nakamoto relates very much to the work that I do at prisonprofessors.org. We are a nonprofit that strives to provide educational content to help people who are going into the criminal justice system emerge with their dignity intact and opportunities to earn a great income. Not a life of mediocrity, but a life of prosperity and a life where they can control their own destiny. Because once you go into the system, there are so many collateral consequences that every individual needs to learn as much as possible early on in the journey, and then start building a pathway that will lead them to better opportunities. I, on the other hand, as the founder of Prison Professors, I have to work and put a team together and coalitions together to really change the system so that we can perhaps close minimum security camps, and people who are in that level should be on home confinement or on work release programs or working on furloughs. I've really committed to trying to bring those reforms in, but I need other people to do it as well. It's a very heavy lift. And as I think of that heavy lift, I think about this path to being orange-pilled, right? I think about this path of Satoshi Nakamoto and what challenges he had to face when he was encouraging others to think outside of the box and disrupting fiat currencies around the world to create a decentralized platform. I didn't even know what that meant while I was in prison, and it cost me enormously. Because while we're in prison, we are deprived from being able to learn about how the world is changing. When I went to prison, the internet didn't exist. There was no cell phone, there was no email, there was no text messaging, and you just couldn't learn. So while I was in prison, I did not have an opportunity to access this great body of work that would help us learn. So I didn't have a pathway to learning about Bitcoin while I was in prison. When I got out of prison in 2012, Bitcoin was trading at $12 a coin. Not too long before, it was trading at less than a penny a coin. And then it's grown to reach recently, this last couple days ago, it was trading at $112,000 a coin. So there's been enormous wealth created. It is the best performing asset in the past 15 years, better than Microsoft, better than Nvidia, better than Google. And I've made money in all of those stocks. But nothing compares to what Bitcoin has done from the beginning until the end. I didn't start accumulating Bitcoin until I had already earned quite a bit of money in other ventures. I started acquiring it in 2024, in early 24, when I read about the ETF passing, the SEC authorizing ETFs for Bitcoin. And because that announcement came after the market closed, I immediately bought MicroStrategy, which is a proxy for Bitcoin. But since then, I've become much more vested in the Bitcoin community, learning about the community and learning about Satoshi Nakamoto and how he began. And the more I learned, the more I identified with the same challenges I have. I mean, think about it. He launched Bitcoin right as a result of what he saw as a great injustice during the financial crisis. The government was printing more money to bail out the biggest banks. But regular citizens, we were foreclosing on their homes, and there was enormous unemployment, and we just went into the worst recession of our lifetime. But Satoshi Nakamoto said, we need to do better by creating a decentralized currency, meaning not tied to the government, a digital currency. And how did he get that started? He started by writing a white paper that explained the benefits of a peer-to-peer system that was recorded on a blockchain. So we could track every transaction. And when he came up with that idea in 2008, you could imagine the resistance he would have felt from others in the community. Had he submitted that document to Bloomberg or the Wall Street Journal, which publishes all kinds of fake news, what would the reception have been? And he'd have been laughed out of the room. Satoshi had to be very strategic. And what did he do? He gave that white paper to data scientists, cryptographers, mathematicians, people that could look at it and understand it and learn more, and he could develop it. Like I say, I never asked anybody to do anything I didn't do. Satoshi launched the Bitcoin network, I think in January the 1st, 2009, he started to implement the program. But the first transaction didn't take place for a couple of years later until I think May 22nd. I think it was May 22nd when there was a guy that decided to buy 2 pizzas for offer 10,000 Bitcoins to anybody who would deliver him 2 pizzas. It's now celebrated in the Bitcoin community as Pizza Day. But that movement has been a very slow and steady climb with a lot of volatility before he could get mass adoption. And even today, we don't have mass adoption. If I go into a restaurant with 100 people, I'll bet you there are fewer than 5 that are true Bitcoiners, that are into the movement and trying to change. And that's what this conference is all about. It's about bringing more awareness to mass adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and how it represents freedom. In fact, not only am I inspired by David Bailey, there's going to be several other people there that I invest in and have profited from greatly. So I'm super enthusiastic to have spent, I'll probably spend 20 grand on this week going to this Bitcoin conference. But the only reason I can do that is because of all of the investments I have made over the past years. I first had to invest in myself so that I could develop assets, so that I could grow, but I continuously invest to learn and to network and to build relationships with other people. So I invested in this whale pass, particularly because I learned that Ross Ulbricht was going to be there. Now, I've known about Ross Ulbricht since his arrest. He was arrested as the founder of Silk Road just around the same time that I finished with the Bureau of Prisons. I finished in August of 2013. I think he got arrested right around that time. They charged him with crimes that resulted in him getting a double life sentence. And he would have been there for the rest of his life. But President Trump commuted him on President Trump's first day of office, or gave him a pardon, a full pardon, and he walked out a completely free man. And he's going to speak at the Bitcoin conference about his vision of Bitcoin, I think, back then, what his experiences were like in the penitentiary, and what he's doing. And I'll be reporting on it to share with other people, because I know a lot of people in prison either interacted with Ross and they're very happy to see the success that he is having right now. But it's not only Ross, there will be Michael Saylor. I invested in MicroStrategy, as I said, the first time in 2024, and I still have probably $600,000 or $700,000 invested in that company because I believe in his mission of spreading mass adoption of Bitcoin. I am looking forward to listening to Senator Lummis, who is really behind this bill and this legislation to advance the stablecoin, but also to advance the Bitcoin strategic reserve. I've learned so much about Bitcoin that I've gone all in, not only buying the whale pass to go to Las Vegas, where both Carol and I are super excited to go to the event. We're leaving tomorrow. We'll be there all week. I'll be interacting with as many people as possible, going to all events, sending as much information as I possibly can to our community, because I want you to know, in the United States, we like to say that other countries violate human rights. But every day, we are violating the rights of millions of people when we deprive them of the opportunity to learn about changes in the world, such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, Bitcoin, and everything else that's changing in the world. If you don't know how to use these tools, you won't succeed out here. There are already going to be massive changes to the economy. At least that's what I believe. That's what I invest in. I invest in companies that advance in artificial intelligence and primarily Bitcoin, because I really believe that's going to change the world. And I believe that you can be a part of changing the world, but only if you invest in yourself. I always make 3 promises to members of our community. I'll never lie to you. I'll never ask you to do anything I didn't do. And I'll never ask you to pay me a penny. We're 100% committed to giving free education to any justice-impacted person who wants to start building a pathway to success. My name is Michael Santos. I am the founder of Prison Professors, the nonprofit. I'm proud to wear my orange shirt, which I will be wearing to some of the events tomorrow. Got a lot of new orange clothing just so that I'll fit in with the Bitcoin community, because I believe in the movement and I believe in you. Be cool.